51% of these entities work across disciplines, which makes them very hybrid entities.
Did you know that 53% of the entities within REACC are members of other networks beyond culture, and that they are all involved in innovative and transformative initiatives like feminism, activism, and environmental practices?
Did you know that only 14% of them have access to a space, which makes them highly reliable on public spaces?
And did you know that despite generating up to 44% of their own resources, only 5% of the cultural workers are able to support themselves on this income alone?
Now the question is, how can we talk about sustainability in culture, sustainability in the cultural sector, when we forget about these agents, the agents of culture, but also the other side, the communities? So it's really the belief that cultural rights are in the heart of the fight, and that this is the way that we can ensure free, engaged, participatory, diverse, and decentralized culture.
Harinera Zaragoza, a former flower factory in the neighborhood of San Jose in Zaragoza, Spain, is a cultural space of reference throughout Europe. It is not possible to talk about cultural rights or communitary culture without mentioning its exemplary model of citizen participation and co-management of more than 10 years. A few weeks ago, unilaterally and without any negotiation allowed, the City Council of Zaragoza dismantled it, discontinuing numerous projects that have helped hundreds of neighbors and people in the streets. This example of Harinera is not an isolated case of closure, veto, or threats against community, culture, space, or agents. On the contrary, we sense that it's a part of a larger international trend seeking to disarticulate free culture, both in Spain and in European Union. Culture makes our life possible and livable. It sustains it, nourishes, feeds it. That's why we demand culture is bread.
Culture is bread. So what did we do against this shared threat? Well, we gather our knowledge, we put our bodies, and we work together on a diagnostic of the community culture in Spain, which we launched in 2022. It ended up being the first diagnostic of this type in Spain, but also in Europe. We found out later on, actually. We weren't able to be the first to think that it happened. And what it did, even what it does, continues to do, is that it's a self-assessment tool. It is something that we have self-produced ourselves. It is participatory in that way as well. It is transversal. It is cutting across all type of the organizations that we just described, highly hybrid, but then also all over the territory, the Spanish territory. It is also on a voluntary basis, but it's really encouraged that people, join and respond and participate in this diagnostic, so we can take a picture of, where we are, our parameters, and how we look like. We never spoke of community culture in Spain before. I mean, this might blow your mind. But that actually enabled us to have an idea to characterize the sector and to help each other as well. We begin to recognize each other, and we have been able to also articulate and put in place an advocacy plan, an advocacy strategy that we are engaging with policymakers. The next one is coming up, hopefully after the summer. We are including new sections, so we are focusing, for instance, on the crossing with social and solidarity economy, with the ecological, the climate emergency, or gender. We also have a specific section on gender.
So when we say that culture is life, culture is bread, we also want to make visible and denounce consciousness of those who need this bread. Cultural workers are the ones who sustain artistic practices in our communities, in our territories, and we must be able to provide them with real solutions for the first sustenances of their lives. Culture is bread because we are certain that in collective work lies the radical capacity to sustain us, to nourish us, and to delineate common horizons for our well-being and for the well-being of the community that nourishes.
So, culture is bread. Culture is bread.
Culture is bread. Culture is bread. Culture is bread. Culture is bread. Culture is bread. Culture is bread. Culture is bread. Culture is bread. Culture is bread.